You stand at the threshold of a new era, an era defined not by inherited narratives or external validations, but by radical self-ownership. This is the moment where the chains of dependency and conditioned identity fall away, revealing the raw, unfiltered power of a soul fully claimed. We are no longer passengers in the story of our lives. We are the authors, the architects, the sovereign beings who write with fierce intention on the blank pages of our becoming. Self-ownership is not a slogan. It is a seismic shift in consciousness, a profound acknowledgement that the locus of control, the root of freedom, and the source of fulfillment lies within. This era demands nothing less than absolute accountability. Not the hollow accountability of blame or guilt, but the fierce, loving responsibility to own every thought, every emotion, every choice, and every consequence as the sacred building blocks of your life. Yet, this ownership is rare, because it requires facing the darkest corners of your psyche, the unconscious shadows Jung so often spoke of. It means stepping into the fire of psyphoria, that seductive fog of avoidance and denial, and burning through it to reveal clarity. Psyphoria promises comfort through distraction, but true freedom comes when you choose to be uncomfortable enough to grow. Your mindset is the crucible of this transformation. It is where the battle for ownership is fought and won. A mindset of self-ownership refuses to outsource power to external forces, whether people, circumstances, or societal narratives. It cultivates resilience by embracing adversity as feedback, not punishment. It sharpens clarity by cutting through illusion and facing brutal truths with unflinching courage. Belief becomes your foundation, the unshakable conviction that you are capable of mastering yourself and your destiny. This belief is not blind faith, but a deep, experiential knowing, forged in the crucible of challenges overcome. It fuels the tenacity needed to break cycles of victimhood and claim your sovereignty. Clarity is your compass. It strips away the noise and reveals the essence of who you truly are beneath layers of conditioning. With clarity, your vision crystallizes not as a vague aspiration, but as a commanding blueprint that demands your devotion and directs your actions. Purpose ignites this vision. Purpose is the sacred fire that sustains you through the inevitable trials of self-mastery. It connects your personal evolution to a greater collective awakening, infusing your journey with meaning that transcends individual desire. Discipline is the backbone of self-ownership. It is the daily practice of aligning your actions with your highest values, even when temptation whispers otherwise. Discipline transforms fleeting motivation into enduring momentum, forging habits that solidify your sovereignty. Action is the embodiment of ownership. It is the sacred bridge between intention and manifestation. Each deliberate choice, each step taken in alignment with your truth, dismantles old patterns and builds the architecture of your empowered life. Gratitude anchors your journey. It softens the hardness of accountability with grace, honoring progress while inviting humility. Gratitude rewires your perception, allowing you to see growth even in struggle and abundance even in scarcity. Adaptability sharpens your edge in a world of relentless change. Ownership demands fluidity, the ability to pivot without losing core integrity, to innovate without sacrificing authenticity. Adaptability ensures your sovereignty is sustainable amid chaos. Resilience is the fortress that protects your ownership. It is the sacred strength to rise after every fall, to persist despite setbacks, and to transform adversity into wisdom. Resilience embodies the refusal to be defined by circumstance rather than character. Learning is the lifelong companion of self-ownership. It is the humility to recognize that mastery is a journey without end, the curiosity to explore uncharted territories within and without, and the courage to evolve continuously. This is the era where excuses no longer suffice, where blame dissolves in the face of accountability, and where power is reclaimed from the fragmented self to the integrated whole. So claim this era. Step into the fullness of your self-ownership. Own your story, your power, your destiny. Because in owning yourself completely, you become unstoppable. And in becoming unstoppable, you redefine what it means to be free. Self-ownership demands a radical awakening, a shaking loose of old paradigms that no longer serve. It calls for an unrelenting gaze into the mirror of your soul, where excuses dissolve and raw truth stands naked. This is the moment when you must confront the stories you've told yourself, the narratives of limitation, the justifications for inaction, the comforting illusions of helplessness. To own yourself fully, you must dismantle these narratives without mercy, for they are the shackles that bind your potential. This dismantling is not a descent into despair, but a climb toward freedom. It is the courageous act of reclaiming your agency amidst a world eager to disperse it. As Aldous Huxley warned, modern life often seduces us into subtle slavery chains woven from distraction, dependency, and disconnection. Self-ownership is the rebellion against this silent servitude. It is the refusal to let your worth be dictated by likes, opinions, or fleeting approval. Instead, you anchor your value deep within, unshaken by external tides. Your mindset becomes a fortress. It is not built of arrogance, but of fierce humility, acknowledging both your light and shadow, your power and your vulnerabilities. This mindset cultivates the inner sovereignty to choose your response in every moment, breaking free from reactive patterns and reclaiming intentional living. Belief is the fire that ignites your sovereignty. It is a belief tempered by experience, forged in trials, and unwavering in the face of doubt. This belief is your shield against the world's attempts to diminish you, and your sword against the internal saboteur who whispers, "You are not enough." Clarity sharpens your path. It slices through confusion, cutting away the fog of societal conditioning and self-deception. With clarity, you see the boundaries you must set, the habits you must shed, and the truths you must embody. It reveals that self-ownership is not a solitary fortress, but a living ecosystem balancing strength with compassion, power with presence. Vision becomes your North Star. It is the embodiment of your highest potential, a luminous beacon guiding you through storms and distractions. This vision refuses to be diluted by fear or convenience. It demands your full alignment and relentless pursuit. Purpose roots your journey in something greater than self-interest. It is the realization that owning yourself is a sacred responsibility to yourself, to others, and to the collective unfolding of humanity. Purpose transforms personal sovereignty into service, ambition into legacy. Discipline is the backbone of your sovereignty. It is the daily ritual of aligning thought, word, and deed with your vision and values. Discipline carves pathways through resistance and builds momentum from consistency. It is a sacred vow you make to your future self, the covenant that holds your promise to become. Action breathes life into ownership. It is the tangible expression of your internal commitment. Each deliberate step taken with integrity dismantles old patterns and builds new realities. Action is the sacred rhythm of becoming, turning potential into presence. Gratitude tempers ownership with grace. It opens your heart to the gifts hidden within challenges and victories alike. Gratitude transforms the journey from a burdensome climb into a sacred pilgrimage, fostering resilience and joy. Adaptability equips you to navigate the ever-changing landscapes of life. Ownership is not rigid control, but fluid mastery, the ability to bend without breaking, to innovate without losing essence. Adaptability ensures your sovereignty is alive, responsive, and enduring. Resilience stands as your steadfast guardian. It is the sacred strength to rise after every fall, to persevere through setbacks, and to transform hardship into wisdom. Resilience is the heartbeat of self-mastery. Learning is your compass, guiding continual evolution. It is the humility to admit when you do not know, the curiosity to explore beyond comfort, and the courage to unlearn and relearn. Through learning, ownership remains dynamic and expansive. This is your era, the era where excuses fall silent, where responsibility reigns, and where self-ownership is the foundation of true freedom. So, reason now. Claim your power. Own your story with fierce grace, because in owning yourself, you unlock the limitless force of your becoming. And in that becoming, you reshape not just your life, but the world itself. This era of self-ownership is not merely a shift, it is a revolution within. It is the reclaiming of your inner throne, a restoration of the sacred sovereignty that has always been your birthright. Imagine the great figures throughout history, Nietzsche, Machiavelli, Huxley, each wrestling with the tension between power and freedom, control and chaos. Today, their legacy converges into one unmistakable call: to own yourself so fully that no external force can diminish your light. Owning yourself means no longer outsourcing your worth to approval, no longer relinquishing your peace to the opinions of others. It is a fierce, unyielding boundary drawn in the sand, a declaration that your inner world will not be compromised. This boundary is both shield and beacon, protecting your energy while signaling to the world the magnitude of your presence. Yet, sovereignty is not isolation. It is the foundation from which authentic connection springs. When you own yourself, your relationships shift from transactions to transformations, from dependency to deep resonance. You engage not to fill voids, but to expand shared purpose. Your presence becomes a mirror, reflecting strength, clarity, and integrity. This transformation demands a mindset hardened by discipline, yet softened by compassion. It requires the courage to confront your shadow, the parts of yourself you've denied or feared, and to integrate them with grace. Jung taught us that wholeness arises not from perfection, but from embracing our fragmented selves with honesty and love. Belief is your inner anchor, the unwavering trust that you are capable of stewarding your life with wisdom and courage. This belief turns obstacles into opportunities and setbacks into stepping stones. It fuels your capacity to persist when the world challenges your resolve. Clarity is your guiding light, cutting through the noise of distraction and doubt. It reveals what is essential and what must be shed, enabling you to focus your energy where it matters most. Clarity births vision, the vivid, compelling picture of your highest potential and the legacy you are destined to leave. Purpose is the sacred fire that sustains you, transforming ambition into service. It connects your personal evolution to the broader awakening of humanity, infusing every action with profound meaning. Discipline is the sacred rhythm of your sovereignty, the daily practice of aligning intention with action. It is the commitment to rise each day and embody the principles you proclaim, even when motivation falters. Action manifests your ownership. It is a courageous choice to move beyond inertia, to take responsibility for your outcomes, and to shape reality in accordance with your vision. Gratitude softens the edges of ownership, opening your heart to the blessings embedded in every challenge and triumph. It cultivates joy, presence, and humility. Adaptability ensures your sovereignty remains vibrant and resilient amidst the flux of life. It empowers you to pivot with wisdom and innovate without losing integrity. Resilience is the sacred backbone of your journey, enabling you to rise stronger with each fall and to transform adversity into growth. Learning is the compass guiding your continuous evolution, fueling curiosity, humility, and mastery. This is the era where you no longer seek permission to be yourself. You give yourself permission, you take back your power, you become the architect of your destiny. So rise with fierce resolve, own your story, claim your freedom, and live the life only you can create. Because this is your time. This is the era of self-ownership, and you are its sovereign. The era of self-ownership demands that you move beyond mere survival and step into full creative agency. It calls for a new kind of courage, the courage to dismantle not only external structures, but the internal scripts that have kept you small. This is the moment to stop living as a reflection of others' expectations and begin living as the original source of your truth. In this transformation, you confront the subtle yet pervasive forces that erode ownership: distraction, procrastination, self-doubt, and the comfort of blame. Each of these is a seduction away from your power, a whisper that promises relief but delivers stagnation. Recognize these sirens for what they are and choose instead the path of relentless responsibility. Your mindset becomes the sharp blade that cuts through illusion. It is forged through intentional practices, mindfulness that reveals your habitual patterns, critical reflection that challenges your beliefs, and unwavering commitment to self-honesty. With this mindset, you refuse to be hijacked by impulse or fear, and instead act from clarity and purpose. Belief is the foundation stone of self-ownership. It is the unshakable conviction that no matter your past or circumstance, you possess the inner resources to shape your life. This belief dismantles victimhood and empowers you to claim full authorship over your story. Clarity emerges when you look beyond distractions and excuses to see the contours of your true self. It reveals what no longer serves and highlights the values and visions worth cultivating. Clarity is a compass pointing relentlessly toward your authentic path. Vision ignites passion and direction. It is not a fleeting dream, but a steady flame that fuels perseverance and inspires action. This vision anchors your ownership in something greater than momentary desires, connecting you to legacy, impact, and meaning. Purpose is the heartbeat that animates your journey. It transforms tasks into rituals, challenges into rites of passage, and ordinary moments into sacred steps on your path. Purpose aligns your will with your soul's highest calling. Discipline is the steady drumbeat that keeps you moving when enthusiasm fades. It is the sacred practice of consistency, the daily affirmations of your commitment to own your life fully. Discipline bridges the gap between intention and reality. Action is the dynamic force that manifests your sovereignty. It is the courageous doing, choosing presence over avoidance, growth over comfort, authenticity over conformity. Every action rooted in ownership rewrites your narrative and shapes your destiny. Gratitude is the heart's balm. It softens the struggle with grace, illuminating the gifts embedded in the journey. Gratitude cultivates resilience and fosters joy even amidst uncertainty. Adaptability ensures your ownership remains alive and responsive. It teaches you to flow with change, to innovate when faced with obstacles, and to maintain integrity while pivoting. Resilience fortifies your spirit. It is the capacity to recover, rebuild, and rise with greater strength after every setback. Resilience transforms pain into power. Learning fuels your continuous evolution. It keeps you curious, humble, and open to new possibilities. Through learning, you expand your capacity to own not just your present, but your future. This is the sacred contract of self-ownership, to show up fully, to accept your power without apology, and to create a life that reflects the vastness of your potential. So claim your era now. Stand tall as the sovereign of your soul. Own your life with unyielding conviction, because this is your revolution, and you are the unstoppable force behind it. In stepping fully into self-ownership, you begin to see the world through a transformed lens, one that no longer casts you as a victim of circumstance, but as the sovereign creator of your reality. This perspective rewires the way you engage with every challenge, every relationship, every opportunity. It awakens the profound understanding that external events are not the masters of your fate. Your responses are. This awakening reveals the subtle ways power has been ceded through passive acceptance, habitual complaining, and the abdication of choice. Owning yourself means reclaiming every moment where you have given away your agency. It means standing firmly in the space between stimulus and response, choosing action aligned with your deepest truth, rather than reaction fueled by impulse or conditioning. The path of self-ownership is a disciplined journey inward and outward. Inward, it demands rigorous self-examination, a willingness to face uncomfortable truths and dismantle limiting beliefs. Outward, it calls for courageous action that manifests your values and vision into the world, even when the path is uncertain or resistance arises. This journey is neither solitary nor easy. It requires building a community that supports your sovereignty people, who challenge your growth, celebrate your breakthroughs, and hold space for your authenticity. Together, you create ecosystems where ownership is modeled, nurtured, and amplified. In this community, leadership transforms from command to stewardship. You lead by example, embodying the principles of accountability, integrity, and resilience. Your presence inspires others to claim their power and rewrite their narratives, igniting a ripple effect of transformation. As you deepen your ownership, you cultivate emotional mastery, recognizing that true power lies not in controlling others, but in mastering your internal landscape. You learn to navigate fear, doubt, and desire with clarity and compassion, refusing to be driven by transient moods or external validation. Financial independence, creative expression, physical health all become extensions of your inner sovereignty. They are no longer pursuits of external approval, but manifestations of your aligned purpose. You design your environment, habits, and goals to serve your evolving self, crafting a life of intentional abundance. Yet, self-ownership also requires humility, the acknowledgement that mastery is a lifelong pursuit, and that growth often arises from moments of surrender. You embrace paradoxes, strength in vulnerability, certainty in uncertainty, freedom within structure. This humility deepens your resilience and expands your capacity to lead with heart. Continuous learning fuels this expansion. You seek wisdom beyond your comfort zone, integrate diverse perspectives, and remain open to transformation. Learning keeps your sovereignty dynamic, preventing stagnation and fostering innovation. Ultimately, the era of self-ownership is a call to live unapologetically, fully accountable, fiercely authentic, and boldly creative. It is an invitation to reclaim the throne of your life and to rule it with wisdom, courage, and love. So rise now, claim your crown, and step into the boundless power of owning yourself completely. Because when you do, you become the unstoppable force, shaping not only your destiny, but the future of humanity itself. Owning yourself is the ultimate act of rebellion in a world that constantly pressures you to conform, to dilute, to defer. It is a refusal to be a mere cog in the machine of expectation, a declaration that your life will be lived on your terms with fierce autonomy and uncompromising integrity. This rebellion is not loud or flashy. It is a quiet, unshakable fire that burns from within, illuminating the path of your true self. This inner fire fuels an unbreakable commitment to your values and vision. It demands that you no longer negotiate with mediocrity or settle for half-truths. You become the guardian of your boundaries, fiercely protective of your time, energy, and spirit. Saying no becomes an act of self-love, a radical assertion of what you will and will not accept. In this era of self-ownership, you learn the power of your voice, not only spoken words, but the language of your actions, choices, and presence. Your authenticity becomes magnetic, drawing toward you the people, opportunities, and experiences that resonate with your highest self. You no longer chase validation, You cultivate connection grounded in mutual respect and shared growth. With ownership comes the mastery of your inner world. You train your mind to be a powerful ally rather than a tyrant, cultivating habits that foster clarity, focus, and calm. Emotional intelligence becomes your compass, guiding you through conflict, uncertainty, and change with grace and wisdom. This mastery ripples outward, transforming your relationships. You engage with others not from neediness or fear, but from abundance and confidence. You set clear expectations, communicate honestly, and hold space for both your growth and theirs. These relationships become fertile ground for mutual evolution. Financial freedom and creative expression emerge as natural byproducts of your sovereignty. You design your life as an artful composition, blending passion, purpose, and practicality. Wealth is no longer a measure of worth, but a tool for expanding your impact and living fully. Yet, self-ownership is not a destination, but a lifelong journey. It requires ongoing reflection, recalibration, and courage. You embrace discomfort as a signal for growth and uncertainty as an invitation to explore. This openness keeps your evolution vibrant and your spirit alive. In this continuous unfolding, you become a beacon, a living testament to the power of self-ownership. Your story inspires others to awaken, to break free, and to claim their own sovereignty. Together, you form a movement, a new paradigm, where individuals rise as conscious creators of their lives and communities. So stand tall now, breathe deeply, and embody the fierce, radiant power of owning yourself. Because this is your time, this is your era, and the world awaits the unstoppable force of your sovereignty unleashed. In claiming your sovereignty, you step into a dimension where fear loses its grip and uncertainty becomes a canvas for creation. The shadows that once whispered doubt now serve as teachers, guiding you deeper into your own strength. You no longer avoid discomfort, but recognize it as the forge where resilience and clarity are born. This embrace of the unknown transforms paralysis into momentum and hesitation into boldness. Your daily rituals become acts of rebellion and reverence, deliberate choices that honor your growth and affirm your ownership, whether through moments of stillness that center your mind, physical practices that root you in your body, or intentional learning that expands your horizons. Each habit becomes a declaration. I am the steward of my life. This stewardship is not rigid control, but dynamic flow, a harmonious dance between discipline and adaptability. You build structures that support your vision, yet remain flexible enough to pivot when life demands it. This balance sustains your journey, allowing you to navigate storms without losing your center. In relationships, self-ownership rewrites the script. You shed the need for approval and instead engage from a place of authenticity and generosity. Boundaries are not walls, but invitations to respect and mutual growth. You attract companions who mirror your integrity and challenge your evolution, creating bonds that elevate rather than diminish. Ownership extends to your influence, your words, actions, and presence ripple beyond you, shaping environments and inspiring transformation. You recognize the responsibility inherent in this power and wield it with humility and purpose, knowing that true leadership arises from service, not domination. Financial and creative freedoms emerge as reflections of your internal sovereignty. You no longer chase fleeting validation, but align your resources and talents with your deepest purpose. Wealth becomes a tool for expansion, creativity, a sacred expression of your essence. Throughout this journey, gratitude remains the heartbeat anchoring you in appreciation for both triumphs and trials. Gratitude transforms challenges into catalysts and scarcity into abundance, cultivating a mindset of richness and possibility. Learning fuels your continuous evolution, inviting you to question assumptions, explore new perspectives, and deepen self-awareness. This commitment to growth keeps your sovereignty alive, vibrant, and expansive. So now, rise into this fullness. Own your power without apology. Walk your path with fierce authenticity and compassionate wisdom. Claim your era of self-ownership, not as a distant ideal, but as a living, breathing reality. Because when you do, you become the unstoppable architect of your destiny, the fearless guardian of your soul's truth, and the radiant beacon lighting the way for generations to come. Now, stand unwavering in this truth. You are the sovereign of your life, the author of your story, the master of your fate. The era of self-ownership is not a future promise, it is your present reality, waiting for your full embrace. Release every chain forged by fear, doubt, and external expectation. Step boldly beyond the confines of limitation and step deeply into your power. Claim your thoughts, your emotions, your choices as sacred acts of creation. Own your shadows as much as your light, for in that integration lies wholeness. Own your failures as much as your triumphs, for in that balance lies wisdom. Own your journey with fierce love and radical responsibility. Because when you own yourself completely, nothing and no one can diminish your light. You become unstoppable. You become unbreakable. You become the living embodiment of freedom. This is your era. This is your time. So, Rizena, own your life, rewrite your destiny, and become the masterpiece you were always meant to be.